Good evening. Would everyone please rise? We'll be led in prayer by Alderwoman Stacy Gould.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Alderman Singh, please, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hearing an ordinance increasing the appropriation from $2 million to $5,750,000 for the cost of planning a lead copper service line replacement program in the city of Norwich, increasing the authorization from $2 million to $5,750,000 for the issuance and revenue bonds of the city secured solely by water revenue to meet said appropriation, and authorizing the city and the Department of Public Utilities to enter into grant and loan agreements and a joint resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect thereto.
Thank you. At this time, I declare this public hearing to be open, and I would invite individuals who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance at this time. Is anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance at this time? Seeing no one, at this time, ask anyone wishing to speak against the ordinance at this time? Anyone wish to speak against the ordinance at this time?
I'm Dan Addis. I'm pretty sure you know what my address is without having to say it for the maybe 10th or 11th time. But it seems, like I've said, some people just never learn. That transportation center, like the damn garage, is nothing short of a farce. Some people have the mentality from the natural, if I'm not mistaken. If you build it, they will come. Well, the only thing that's come there to both of those things are roaches, rats, and derelicts. But like Disney, you keep missing the mark over and over and over again, and you refuse to learn from your mistakes. You notice that nobody spoke up for it, because I think these people in this room have already been taxed excessively, and I think they've been taxed enough. You're doing nothing but throwing good money after bad. And again, it winds up in failure. But nobody wants to learn. You're incredibly poor learners. And you're expecting support for this? I wouldn't support that with a 2-ton hydraulic jack if you paid me. But then again, you can't afford to pay me anyhow, so there's that. I think the people have spoken and now saying that we have been taxed enough on your little farcical projects. Enough is enough. Until you show me and the people in this room some actual results, you're just going to keep going down the road to failure. But that's a road that you're going to travel alone. And we're not going to travel that road with you. I promise you that.
Thank you, sir. Can anyone else wish to speak against the ordinance at this time? Anyone Anyone wish to speak against the ordinance at this time?
What ordinance are you referring to?
Sir, it's an ordinance dealing with replacement of lead lines in our water systems to improve the water quality and protect our residents.
What exactly is that going to cost the taxpayers?
Sir, if you'd like to speak, come to the podium, give your name and your address. We're not going to do a shouting discussion across the room.
I've done it too many times before. You're afraid of yourself.
Perhaps if you read the ordinance before you came to a meeting, you would have informed yourself of what's before us.
Well, I just walked in, so I don't mean nobody's dead once. And I also don't take orders from you.
I wasn't giving an order.
I don't care. I don't care. You're supposed to take orders from the taxpayers, not do what you want, especially when it comes to our money that you clowns are playing around with. And like my brother said, I too am tired of it. There's been a posting recently.
Excuse me. Mr. Mayor, he has not
Yes, Mr.
identified
Pro Tem.
himself or given his name or his address.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. DeLucia, under the law, legally, I do not have to give you my name, and that's the law, not your version of it. I think you should learn that by now.
It's not the law. The rules of the council are such that you identify yourself with your name and address as a means of being polite and starting a conversation. That's all it is. It's not an intrusion on any made-up belief that you may bring to this meeting whatsoever.
Well, I'm sorry that I don't believe you. I don't have to believe anything you people say. You're all Democrats. That's the problem. Now,
For the record, there are
you can
4
say that-
Democrats
you can
and
say
3
that all you want.
Republicans up
You
here,
can say that all you
sir.
want. You're the one that doesn't know how to take the truth. None of you do.
Could we have some decorum, please?
Don't you talk to me about decorum either. You
Lower
understand
your
me?
voice.
Don't you talk to me about decorum because you got out of hand. Don't try that with me, you hypocrite. Now, although against my good judgment and against my constitutional right to privacy, my name is David Addis. I live, unfortunately, at 109 Whittington Avenue in the ghetto town of Norwich, Connecticut. How am I doing? Now, here's the reality part that I'm trying to get to. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. Let me see if I can locate it. Here it is. And this posting says, Norwich, Connecticut faces economic hardship and a sense of decline.
Are you speaking about the ordinance or something else?
Both things.
Then please do so. Your time's running.
Well, then reset it.
Happening.
Why should the taxpayers keep losing money for something like this? Why? It's our money. It is our money. It is not for any of you to do with as you please. It isn't. That money belongs to us. And if that's the case, give us our money back. Resign in disgrace, every last one of you, and give us all our money back. I'm not supporting this nonsense. Ask your rich friends to pay for it. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Can anyone else want to comment on an ordinance whose design is to improve the water quality in our city and identify where there are lead issues so that we can protect our citizens? Mr. Bowie. Again, at this point, you'd be speaking against the ordinance.
Name's Rodney Boyd. I live at 62 Roosevelt Avenue in Norwich. I don't know too much about the lead on this project. Our water lines between here and Deep River, I understand, are basically cast iron, not lead. Now, I'm chairman of the lead abatement committee in the city of Norwich and have been for the past 40 years. We have it within our province to change lead surfaces every time we do a project on houses. But this, I guess, involves stuff. Now, has the lead been identified yet, or does anyone know, really? Lead, because cast iron was mainly for water mains in the last century. And some of these water lines have been down for longer than I can remember. I'm 84, and I can't remember the last time we put a water main down, all the way to Deep River. Now, I'm not really against this. I do think it's excessive for planning, but for doing the actual work, if they're talking about replacing the water lines from here to Deep River, that's a big project. So take it whichever way you want. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, anyone want to speak against the ordinance at this time? Anyone against the ordinance at this time? Anyone against the ordinance at this time? Seeing no one else, I declare the hearing closed. Thank you all.
Second reading and possible action on the above ordinance previously presented, an ordinance increasing the appropriation from $2 million to $5,750,000 for the cost of planning a lead copper service line replacement program in the city of Norwich, increasing the authorization from $2 million to $5,750,000 for the issuance of revenue bonds on the city secured solely water revenue to meet said appropriation, and authorizing the city and the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a grant and loan agreements, and a joint resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect thereto.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for someone to make a motion to bring this to the floor for discussion. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh, and I would ask Representative Jeff Brining of NPU to come forward, please, and give a summation of the purpose of the ordinance and why it's here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'll go back to just a quick history. This actually originated with EPA, and they directed through
Excuse me, Jeff, name and address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff Brining, Assistant General Manager, 16 South Golden Street, Norwich Public Utilities. So originally, this is a directive that came from EPA down through the states through Department of Public Health to Norwich Public Utilities. Every water utility in the country is falling under this same requirement. What we're here to ask for tonight, the good news is we found very little lead here in the community. We found 4 lead pipes on our side and 7 on the customer side. If you're familiar with the customer, they own from the curb or their property line in.
Please speak closer to the microphone.
My apologies. So the good news, we didn't find much. So they've now directed us to do more analysis, and I've got Larry and Elisa here to answer any detailed questions that you might have with regards to that. We've done about $900,000 worth of analysis so far. They have asked us to increase that amount so that we can be sure that there isn't anything that we're missing here in the community. The indications are good, but there may be possible additional findings. So we're actually going to go out and excavate a certain portion just to make sure that those lines are, as our records show, a more modern material. So basically, by approving this ordinance, it will allow us to get the 70% grant from the state. So we're going to be required to do this regardless. Right now, it's 70% grant, 30% match out of our water rates. So that's the real home run here. We have no choice, but we're being directed to do it anyway. And then it was mentioned earlier about replacement of those lines. If it stays at the low numbers that we have now, that's something we'll easily be able to take care of. So that's what I hope. But before we can move to that step, we have to finish this analysis. So I'll take any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you. Members? Alderman Bencourt.
Are we talking lines in the street, or are we talking lines that are also running actually to the homes, or?
The primary focus of this are services to individual residences and businesses. So, and of the ones that we've identified where lead is present as a service, we actually went in and tested the water, and there's nothing that is in exceedance of the EPA standards. There's actually never been a test in our system in exceedance of EPA standards, and that goes through diligent water treatment, corrosion inhibitors, things these guys can explain to you in a lot more detail. But that's the good news. Having said that way, the only way to eliminate the risk is to eliminate the pipe, and that's what this is about.
Thank you, members. Alderman Nash.
I just was a quick question with the, I know you just said you spent 900,000 on some surveys. That's a big jump from 2 million to 5 million. Is there a cause for that jump?
So again, this is the level of analysis, and actually, Larry, if you want to, maybe you can join me and just speak a little bit more about the details of the scope of that portion.
Larry Sullivan, Wastewater Operations Manager, Norwich Public Utilities, 16 South Golden Street. We had to provide a full inventory to DPH on October 12th, 2024, and you can't have any unknowns in your system for as far as service lines. I mean, lead lines were never they're never bigger than 2 inches. They couldn't possibly be bigger than that because they would collapse on themselves because it's soft material. Having said that, our initial record showed a significant amount of lead lines. And as we started physically, and DPH requires you to, before you put a construction bid out, do you actually have the lead lines? They're required basement inspections, test pits at the curb stops, test pits in the streets, at the connections to the mains. That stuff's expensive, and it's absolutely required. It's not an ask, it's a must by Department of Public Health. We submitted this inventory in October, and we still had unknowns on it. We have like 11,500 round number service lines in the community. We have about 1,000 unknowns right now. And so if the next several years, 400 test pits in the road, 600 basement investigations, it takes a lot of time, a lot of money to get the inventory correct. And it's not an ask, it's a you shall provide. And then we have 13 years to complete this program. So like City of Chicago have 800,000 lead lines, known lead lines. That's a massive undertaking to replace. It's a good problem to have. It's cheaper to investigate than it is to replace. The average service replacement is roughly $13,000 to $15,000. If you don't have to times it by 1,000, it's better to know what you have. And in the records in the past, we do have a permit process in place, but we can't go back in time 30, 40, 50 years. A lot of weekend warriors replacing lines on properties without our permission, or not permission or knowledge or a permit. We had a record from say 1940. It was a lead line. We have no idea they replaced it back in 1984. So unfortunately, that's what we have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other members, questions? Alderman Singh.
Thank you very much. So I definitely believe it's a public health issue and should be addressed. But when we're talking about the lead lines, we're also talking about from the sewer main to the house itself, which is technically a homeowner responsibility. Will be replacing those as well from NPU side, or homeowner will be paying fully for that?
Right. So technically, the homeowner's responsible for it from the curb in. Having said that, if the analysis continues to go the way that it is, we're hopeful as an organization, because that's a significant expense for a homeowner. If it's at a scale that we can manage and we can fund, we intend to take care of that. But we really have to get through this investigation phase first, see what we're dealing with, and then we can make commitments as to what we'll be able to do and hopefully get matching funding for in replacement of the actual lines themselves. But you got to do the planning first, and then you work with DPH for the plan of what the replacement's going to be. I don't know if you have anything to add. But.
No, that's exactly correct, yes.
And just one more, just for the clarity in the layman language. So 70% is coming from the grant. Other 30% won't be any tax burden to City of Norwich taxpayer. It's going to go on the water revenue side.
Absolutely. That'll be a loan through DPH, which will be repaid through water rates and only water rates, nothing to do with taxes.
Thank you.
Their loans are 20 years at 2%. It's a pretty good deal for a loan.
Definitely. Thank you.
Just
Or-
quick thing. Is there a particular concentration of the unknowns of what area they're in?
Unfortunately, they're all over. Like we've done samples, Greenville, Laurel Hill, downtown. It's usually they started outlawing lead in like 1984, but they gave plumbers a couple years to use up their stock. So like anything from 1986 and below being constructed is where we started concentrating. Stuff that was built in the 90s, literally you couldn't get lead, so there's no. Even if it's unknown, in Saboteur, we still have to prove it. It was built in 2004, and it's unknown. We still have to prove what that service is. But we did look at the concentrations where our mapping said lead, and obviously it was all the areas, Greenville, Taftville, Laurel Hill, Thamesville, those areas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, members? Again, I want to repeat, you've mentioned a 2% loan, that's the Clean Water Fund.
Yes,
Yeah,
Clean Water Fund, correct.
okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion from members at this time, please? Seeing none, a roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt? Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Delosha?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. The vote is 7-0.
Adoption of minutes, February 3rd and February 18th, 2025.
Thank you. Motion, please. From the floor, Alderman Gould, second Alderman Nash. Is there discussion on the adoption of the minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Yes. Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Delosha?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The is adopted 7-0. Matter is received.
Petitions and communications, number 1, resignation from Inland Wetland Watercourses and Conservation Committee.
Thank you. Motion, please. This be received. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderwoman Hayes. Is there discussion? Seeing none, I would ask for a roll call and give thanks to Douglas Lee for his service to the city.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Delosha?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The matter is adopted. The vote is 7-0.
Managers report.
Thank you. This is the city manager report for March 3rd, 2025. Just a little sidebar. After 9.5 years, I've changed the format a little bit for the first time, so I can actually say that I do move things around a little bit. I hope you like it a little better. It kind of denotes the main topics of the night. It's easier to glance at. Also, it gives me some room to update things that when I wrote this weren't as current as they are now. So I will do that as I go along. In recent weeks, I attended several key meetings, including the NCDC Executive Board of Directors meeting, the NPU City Coordination meeting, and the Connecticut Investment Fund stakeholders meeting. Additionally, Comptroller Josh Pothier and I met with department heads, fire chiefs, registrars, Norwich Public Schools, Otis Library, and NCDC to discuss the upcoming budgets. Budget hearings are scheduled for the second and third week of April, with the first public hearing set for April 16th. Grand list update. On February 25th, the Assessor's Office filed the 2024 grand list. The data shows real estate increased by $1,030,000. Personal property increased by $19,495,000. And motor vehicles decreased by $32,162,000. The result in this is a net decrease of 0.4 compared to the previous year. Now, on the motor vehicle, this is separate from the motor vehicle grant that we get. So that has nothing to do with the 32 reduction. And we do hope that the governor signs an amendment to how the state regulates the evaluation of cars. The new method was going to lose up to the 32 million. The new method gives you a local option to phase that in and do it at a different level. So it would, at that point, gain some funds back, and we wouldn't lose as much as 32 million. The governor is scheduled to sign it possibly as early as tomorrow, and then I would bring it to council for consideration at the next meeting or the meeting after that. At that point, then, we can recalibrate some of the numbers we have in the budget in time then. So when we present it to you, it would have a change from these numbers. Waterfront Development Project, excuse me. I participated in interviews for the waterfront design and engineering services. The city of Norwich, in collaboration with the Norwich Community Development Corporation, sought proposals for the design and engineering improvements to Brown Park and the Marina area. Funding for this project was secured through 2 rounds of the Connecticut DECD Community Investment Fund 2030 grants totaling $5,920,000. SLR International Corporation, based in Cheshire, Connecticut, was awarded the design contract. The project aims to promote economic development and enhance public access to the Norwich waterfront. It should be known that SLR planned and designed the Uncas Leap project, so they have, we're very pleased for how that turned out, and certainly it helped them in the interviews. Podcast participation. I was reluctantly featured, I didn't put that in there, but that's how I feel. I was reluctantly featured in a podcast titled Connecticut East This Week, Connecticut's Broken Tax System, alongside Joseph DeLong, Executive Director and CEO of CCM, that's the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, and Michael Pizzaro, Mayor of New London. The episode schedule is available at Connecticut East. Public Works activities. Public Works has managed 13 winter weather events this season. While most were minor, 2 major events on February 9th and 13th resulted in over 5 inches of snowfall across the city. The department utilized all available personnel but did not require external assistance. To date, 1,200 tons of salt have been used. Additionally, Public Works conducted test pit excavations at Uncas Elementary School and Moriarty School. These excavations were carried out on 2 separate days as time permitted between weather events, utilizing city labor and equipment to expedite the school design process. Lead hazard reduction program. Following successful negotiation with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in January, the lead hazard reduction program began accepting applications on February 1st. The final requirement, completion of the environmental review, is expected to be approved next week. Once finalized, the program will allocate funds to eligible projects. And I want to thank the Community Development Department for heading this. And finally, community events. A special thank you to the Norwich Events Organization and its volunteers for successful organizing the 11th Annual St. Patrick's Day downtown on March 2nd. Their dedication and effort continued to bring the community together and enhance the city's cultural celebrations. I will tell you, it was cold, though. And that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you, John. Other questions? Alderman Nash.
I just have a comment on Public Works. The last snowstorm that we had, I work in New London, so I have to drive there at night. And when I left my house, I was like, oh, the roads don't look too bad, because out front of my house, everything was clean. When I got to the 2 and 32 exchange, it was pretty clean, till I got on 395 and realized I was plowing through snow. So I just want to let you know that I think the guys did a great job in the 2 storms that I had to drive in the snow to get to work. Our roads were so much better than when I got to New London. Even the Coast Guard Academy wasn't clean, and we have its own company there that does it. So just want to give kudos to Public
Thank you.
Works
I'll pass
for
that on.
that.
Thank you. Other questions or statements? Alderman Singh.
A very good point, Alderman Nash. I have thanked Brian myself on that because I was amazed with a lot of work they have done overnight to clean up. So that's good. Just one quick question. So of course, this motor vehicle basically will be in a better shape with the new,
If the
law.
council has to approve the amendment to it, but.
So most likely we will not be in negative when it comes to
We'll
grand
probably
list.
be a little positive, which is better than that. If it's changed, it will be, the decrease in motor vehicles would be lower than the 32 million loss.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, concern? Seeing none, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Resolutions? Agenda items only?
Thank you. I declare citizen comment on agenda items, the 4 listed, to be open at this time. I do, in fact, have a sign-up sheet, so I'll begin with that. Mr. Bill Champagne, please.
Good evening. Bill Champagne, address 7 Northwest Corner Road, Preston. I'm a co-chair, along with Janine Gillette, of the America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee. And I've spoken with the council a number of times over the past 4 decades about Norwich's rich history and heritage and how they can be part of economic development in Norwich. Norwich certainly is loaded with history, which should be used to our advantage. I'd like to address resolution number 3. The America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee requests that this resolution, resolution number 3, be withdrawn, and there are a number of reasons for this request. We appreciate that the sponsors of the resolution want good things to happen concerning the 250th anniversary here in Norwich. That is certainly what our committee is working on. Our committee was formed years ago and now is comprised of a cross-section of representatives from a number of key organizations throughout Norwich. We have been recognized by the state as an affiliate of the America 250 Connecticut Commission and have been honored to present our work at 2 statewide conferences. We are working with the Norwich Historical Society as our fiduciary, and in that regard, we have applied for and secured funding from the Sachem Fund to fund a staff person to help plan and organize the celebration and commemoration that Norwich deserves. We were awarded funds from the Sachem Fund in September 2024, and we just received those funds 1 week ago. We have a job description created, and we are in conversation with 5 people who have evinced interest in this position. We respectfully request that resolution number 3 be withdrawn and that our committee, the America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee, have an informational session with the council soon so that we can have a meaningful dialogue which will benefit all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kevin Brown.
Good evening, Kevin Brown, President of NCDC, 66 Franklin Street. I'm here to speak in support of resolution number 1 relative to the Connecticut Municipal Redevelopment Authority, Norwich joining as a member municipality. Just some history on where this emanated from. About a decade ago, Hartford was provided through a general statute in 2012 the authority to establish the Capital Region Development Authority. Since that time, the Capital Region Development Authority, which has been focused on 8 capital region municipalities, has helped fund a number of important development projects in the Hartford region, not the least of which is about $38 million in housing development. In 2019, a Connecticut general statute was passed to establish the Municipal Redevelopment Authority, with the idea being, why is the capital region the only area that's getting this funding stream from the state of Connecticut? The initial funding is not as substantial, but it is important that we are at the table. The MRDA right now is funded at $60 million, and there's a belief that in this session this year, another $30 million will go into that funding stream. The problem is that every other municipality outside of the CRDA, which is 8, is left to fight for those $90 million. That's 161 towns that'll be trying to get access to this funding possibility. And so I think it's important that we move first. Right now, Naugatuck, Seymour, and Ansonia, I believe, and New London are the only municipalities that have opted in, and this action that you're taking your first pass on tonight is simply that, just the possibility to opt in. There's no binding requirements. Those would come in a second stage after a memorandum of understanding was staffed between the city and the MRDA. So I would encourage the city to look at this in a positive light and consider opting in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Janine Gillette?
Hello, Janine Gillette, 7 Gulliver Circle in Norwich. I'm here as the co-chair of the America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee, and also as a board member of the Norwich Historical Society, which is the lead agency for our America 250 effort. I'm here to respectfully ask that Resolution 3 is withdrawn from consideration. And if it proceeds to vote, I ask you to vote no. We received this resolution last Monday and have not had a chance to bring it to the America 250 Committee or to the NHS Board for their input and their consideration. The America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee, it's a long name, is made up of representatives from various Norwich organizations with the NHS as the lead agency and fiduciary body. It started in 2023, and in July of 2023, representatives from the initial committee came and presented their ideas to you and got your support. And we have been continuing that effort. So we have a main group of committee members from various organizations who meet monthly. And this group is currently working to build our subcommittees and hire a staff person to help with administration and management of our effort. There's a lot of work to do, and we're doing it. Our committee has been recognized as a leader in the 250 effort in the state. We've been asked to speak, as Bill mentioned, at a number of conferences. So last month, we were at the 1775 conference held at CCSU, where we were asked to give a presentation sharing the work of our committee with the community organizations from around the state, because we're being held up as a model. And the resolution as it's written seems to erase that record and establish a new committee with our same name and some changes. So we want the opportunity to work with the state, with the city, and with the city council and the mayor's office, because we believe that collaboration is so important, but we want to do it with care and respect and conversation and the opportunity to get feedback from all the parties. So we ask that you give us the time and space to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen Special, please.
Good evening, Kathleen Special, 30 Kuprack Road, Norwich. I'm the Executive Director of Otis Library and represent the library on the America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee. I support the request that the Resolution 3, which establishes this committee, be withdrawn or not adopted. Otis Library joined the America 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee in July of 2024. At that time, the committee had already created its mission and vision statements, secured a fiduciary, and outlined several initiatives. The library was joining a well-established and well-managed committee. Since then, subcommittees have been formed to address hiring, fundraising, education, events, and marketing. The subcommittees, comprised of individuals experienced in these areas, have been working collaboratively to develop events, programs, and materials for all ages. We at Otis Library are grateful to be a part of this committee, and we're excited to contribute to the celebration of this important event. I am confident that the committee will create educational, inclusive, and memorable experiences for our community members. For these reasons, I respectfully request that Resolution 3 not be adopted and allow the existing committee to continue its work. Thank you.
Thank you. Dane Rue.
Good evening, Dane Rue, 67 East Town Street, Norwich, representing the Executive Committee of the America 250 Committee, Norwich. Between 2022 and 2023, under the auspices of the Norwich Historical Society, an initial group was formed to create a local committee responsible for coordinating the efforts of commemorating the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution between 2025 and 2026. This initial group was made up of representatives, including myself from Slater Museum, the Norwich Historical Society, and the NAACP branch Norwich. The committee made a joint presentation to the City Council on July 17th, 2023, and was acknowledged by the Council as the committee body leading the efforts to commemorate what's known as America 250 in Norwich. The committee has grown from a small group of individuals into an organizational-driven committee comprised of stakeholders including the Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce, Otis Library, Society of the Founders of Norwich, Norwich Free Academy, Norwich Public Schools, and more. We began this start early to anticipate what we could accomplish in Norwich to commemorate this historic milestone in our nation's history, and have grown in our collaborative reach. We've been recognized by Connecticut Humanities and the State of Connecticut America 250 Commission as an official affiliate committee, where we welcomed state commission members to Norwich last summer in 2024 to tour through some of the most prominent historic locations in the city that would play a role in this commemoration. We have enjoyed great coverage in the local media, as well as positive support from the State Commission for our efforts. I'm concerned that this resolution would change the structure of our committee into a new structure that stands in contrast of what the committee was founded on initially. If there are concerns brought forth from the city or other entities, I know that we are more than willing to discuss them and come to a collaborative solution. I ask with all due respect that this resolution be withdrawn or tabled at this time until those conversations can take place. Thank you very much.
Sandra Susi.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Susi, and I live at 5 Aqua Court. I'm a board member of the Norwich Historical Society, but I am speaking tonight as an individual. I respectfully ask for clarification of the intent of Resolution Number 3, creating a Norwich 250 committee. It has been pointed out by other speakers that there is already a functioning and effective Norwich 250 committee, which consists of representatives from a wide variety of heritage and educational organizations. Since the membership list is different, will the committee formed by this resolution replace the existing one? Or is the intent to recognize the existence of and support the present committee's activities? I respectfully ask that this resolution be withdrawn so that it can be rewritten to make its intent clear before being considered by the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes those who signed up ahead of time. Is anyone else here wish to speak on any of the 4 resolutions before the council at this time? Anyone else wish to speak to the 4 resolutions at this time? Anyone else wish to speak to the 4 resolutions at this time? Seeing no one else, I declare it closed. Thank you.
New business resolution number 1, relative to joining the Connecticut Municipal Redevelopment Authority as a member municipality.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Alderman Singh.
Much. I will be voting in favor of it. I think it's very important that we encourage these kind of resolution and become part of any state body which is helping. I think it will be very good for our downtown, and more you read the resolution, I think we totally sink in, as we are less than half a mile away from our transportation center, and that's one of their main requirement. So I look forward for good work to be happen under this, and I think it will send a good signal overall that we are pro-development and pro-mixed use for our downtown vacant buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue further comment, I would at this time ask for an amendment to this resolution that it be scheduled for a, quote, public hearing at the next council meeting on the 17th of March, which is the strategy. We must hold a public hearing before we can adopt this. So that is the reason for my request. Is there such a motion to schedule a public hearing? Alderman Gould, second. Alderman Bettencourt. Thank you. Is there discussion on the public hearing on the 17th? Alderman Bettencourt.
Will that result in a tabling of the resolution until the 17th?
It will result in not a final vote this evening, yes.
Okay.
But not a tabling, a postpone. Although the motion does not include postpone, since to schedule it for public hearing on the 17th.
Okay.
Again, a requirement for adoption by the state. They require. Yes, Alderwoman Hayes.
So my question is, should we postpone discussion tonight until we have the public hearing?
It's a little different this time. We're treating it almost like an ordinance, first read, schedule a second reading and action, but it is a resolution, so I think comment tonight is appropriate if one wishes. Again, is there further comment? We have a motion to schedule it for public hearing on the 17th. No further comment on that motion. A roll call on the motion?
Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes, thank you. The amendment is adopted. A public hearing will be held on the 17th. Is there further discussion on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, roll call, please.
On what?
We can't vote on something.
Well, I'm sorry, correct. Thank you.
Number 2, relative to Rock the Docks 2025 and Rocking the Green Concert Series 2025.
Okay, can motion please to bring resolution 2 to the floor? Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderman Nash. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes, thank you. The matter is adopted 7-0.
Number 3, relative to America 250 Norwich CT Committee.
Thank you. Motion to bring this to the floor for discussion, please. Alderman Bettencourt. Second, Alderman Nash. Discussion, Alderman Bettencourt.
I'm going to, I think at this point, agree with the speakers in that I think action here is a little premature on this resolution. I'd certainly not want to act on it before having a conversation with the existing committee. So just my personal opinion. I don't think their request is unreasonable. I also wouldn't want to, I think it should be done expeditiously because I would not want to slow the work that the committee needs to get done. So.
Thank you. Is there, Alderman Nash?
Is this something that we can bring back at a later time, even if we don't vote on it tonight? Like, if it's not needed, do we need it? And if we do decide to need it, can we bring it back without causing much? Like, does this have to be done tonight?
The point of the resolution was to affirm the actions of the existing committee. And for case in point, they supplied the list of members and who they represent. There was no change. It is in fact the same committee, but this council discussed adding a couple other members because of things that occurred, such as a member representing the Leffingwell House Museum and the founders of Norwich resigned from both parties. Therefore, they were not represented, and that's why that person, Mr. Robert Lessie, is listed in here, because the Leffingwell House Museum should certainly have a seat at the table, as it previously had. We also felt that the city historian was absent from such an activity, and he's been the city historian for over 4 decades. I can't answer as to why he was left out, but we think he should be part of this. We also thought the position of mayor could be represented, or their designee, whoever that is going to be. In fact, we know that will change in December. But it was to affirm our support for all they have been doing. It's not changing the committee at all. It's simply attempting to enhance it and demonstrate that we back them. That's all this is. Some of the comments made tonight, I think they missed their mark. One thing that really, I would say, bothers me, it was mentioned that the Sachem Fund grants were awarded in September. What did they wait until less than 2 weeks ago to create a job description for? They could certainly have done that a lot sooner, and we wouldn't be here rushing the gun. The Sachem Fund itself will meet one more time this month, and then, for all intents and purposes, dissolve. So if they haven't hired anybody by then, who protects the public money that was awarded to them? And who's setting the timeline so the public is aware that meetings are taking place? All these meetings that took place My office never received an invitation to attend any of them. Not that it has to, but I'd ask anyone on the council here if they had an opportunity. I hope someone did. If you're going to have public support for this endeavor, there should be a public process, including posting of minutes, including schedule of meetings. None of that's happening yet. I don't know if that answers your questions or you got more than you asked for, Alderman Nash. Yes, Alderwoman Hayes.
So I'm still not clear why this resolution and who on the council actually asked for this resolution. Because the most important part of it, and I'll go into some other detail, but the most important part of it is where it says, now therefore it is resolved by the council of the city of Norwich that it supports the establishment of a committee to be known as the America 250th Norwich, Connecticut Committee, to be initially made up of the following individuals per the schedule. So this is to create a new committee because it says initially to establish. It is not recognizing the existing committee that was established. Okay? That's fact number one. Number two is the fact that and I wish the comptroller was here, and I'm not sure why nobody from his office is here, but the Sachem Fund has a process. It has had a process since its inception of when an award is made, and then the reporting requirements have to be based on the grant as it was awarded. To my knowledge, as of this date, the organizations who did not fulfill the requirements of the grant had been identified, and that money was put back in. I don't believe, it would take the comptroller to confirm, that any of the organizations, in particular, the Norwich Historical Society, has ever been in default or ever missed a reporting requirement. It does not matter, Mayor, whether the Sachem Fund continues or ends, because the reporting requirement is there, it's in place, and it must be adhered to, unless funds can be recaptured. That has been the process. So when you talk about public accountability, and I'm sorry, Alderman Nash, because you were a part of a public chastising. Let's go back to the 350th committee. The 350th committee started off very much like this committee started off, a group of individuals from various nonprofits came together volunteering to create a celebration to honor the 350th anniversary of the city of Norwich. Then there was this bright idea that was led by its chairman, Les King, to create a 350th LLC to control, dictate, oversee the work of the 350th committee. We raised the money, there was taxpayers' money, $75,000 for 3 years. There was private money, individuals, there was corporate money, there was nonprofit money. We were now allowed to spend money as we had budgeted per the 350th LLC, chaired by Les King. So when the 350th was over, there was still money left. That included taxpayers' money, dollars that came from the taxpayers. I had brought that to your attention, Mayor, when you were voted in as mayor. I brought it to your attention several times. I brought it to the attention of Corporation Council, City Manager, members of this council, members of the public. Where is the accounting of what has happened to the 33,000 plus or minus, not quite sure what the balance is, because again, there was no public record, no public meetings by the LLC. Am I understanding whether it's correct or not, and I would need the city controller to tell us whether there has been a disbursement of that money. Who benefited from that money? Where did it go? So you want to talk about accountability. The Norwich Historical Society is a nonprofit. It is a member organization. It has requirements that it must fulfill to keep its nonprofit status. I know the chair is not here. I don't know if somebody from the Norwich Historical Society can speak to say, is your nonprofit in compliance, and has it been in compliance? Has it fulfilled all of its reporting requirements? Why would you think that it would not obey the laws and the rules? Who would jeopardize a nonprofit? It is hard to get. It is not easy. As the 350th committee found out, they were denied the 501c3. And then there's the LLC that controlled the money. All right? Really, the other part is, I find it amazing. Volunteerism has been difficult, especially since COVID-19. A group of people came, and organizations came, sat down, knowing there was limited dollars. People aren't beating at the doors to volunteer for committees. We have vacancies on boards, committees, and commissions of the city. People came together to do something good. Organizations, there was no egos, there was no fighting, there was no, what can we do as volunteers to make the celebration and the significance, the stories, the places, the events of the people of the city of Norwich leading up to the American Revolutionary War, during the American Revolutionary War, and post-American Revolutionary War. That is what a group of people came together almost 3 years ago, as almost 20 years ago. Councilman Nash, if you remember, we started 3 years when we did the 350th. It takes that long. You don't just wake up one day and say, oh, let's plan the 350th, and it's next year. It takes 2 to 3 years to do that. Schedules have been laid out. People have made sacrifices. People have worked volunteering for the city of Norwich through the state of Connecticut to make this celebration of America 250th to make sure Norwich is included. I find this disrespectful if this council chooses to replace a committee of volunteers who came together for over 3 years to plan celebrations for the entire city.
Do you want answers to your questions now?
Well, one of the people that I would like...
Questions, would you like them answered?
One of the people I wish was here was the controller. But yes, Mayor, if there's somebody that can provide answers that are truthful, yes.
I don't know what other answer would be except truthful, Alderman Hayes. The bottom line is the people that sponsored this resolution are concerned about what you just advocated for, that we not repeat what happened with the 350th committee, because that was done with no public participation, the decision with those funds. That LLC was set up in the manner you described correctly. And you're right, Les King was not approachable. You did talk to me in the first term I served as mayor, and I went to him multiple occasions, could not get him to move. I then went to the corporate counsel office and asked, what's our options? I was told there are no options because the LLC controls that balance of funds. We're not looking to see that that be repeated. This resolution is in fact codifying what the original committee is, the same members, the same organizations. Yes, we're asking that the Leffingwell House Museum be added in. Our representative initially for that resigned from the board. He resigned from the founders of Norwich. That's who he was representing. He was wearing many hats. And there's a wonderful young man who does things like that in this community. But the museum itself should have its own members sitting at the table. That's all this says. And again, why would you object to the city historian being part of this? Is that a problem?
Yes, we have history with that gentleman. Yeah, we have history with him.
Okay, that's a personal matter then. Thank you
no,
for
no, that's
disclosing
not
it.
a
Thank you for being honest.
That's not a
But that's
personal
not-
issue.
That is not
That is not
what we do
personal.
here.
That is not personal, Mayor. You sat on that committee, okay? You know exactly what happened after all of the money was raised, all of the activity happened, and there was a dedication ceremony to be planned. And what did the city historian say to the committee? I don't need you. I'm planning my own dedication. There's history. That's what he did.
Your memory is far different than mine. I will just say that.
It's a record. That's on.
The bottom line is this, the last speaker who spoke was absolutely correct. This is to affirm that we support the existing committee. We simply recommend that it could be enhanced and strengthened by some other memberships.
This is
That's
making.
all. It is not to take over the role. It is to turn them loose and say, go do what you started to do. That we stand with you. And I would answer a question, because I know they have a finance structure in place for subcommittees. One of them's finance. If they go seeking grants or aid to move programs on, someone might say, do you have a resolution from the council supporting what you're doing? Right now, they do not.
And
We didn't vote to say, yes, we affirm them. We took their advisement, what they gave to us back then, under consideration, and we said, go ahead. But we never actually formally said, yeah, we support you. That's all this is about. This is being so overblown, it's ridiculous.
It is not what it's about, okay? You are establishing this as a committee of the city with this resolution. You are not, the folks in its initial coming together to plan did not seek a resolution from the city of Norwich. This is establishing it. It gets passed, this is establishing a committee of the city with these individuals. Yes, it does.
The list was provided by Bill Champagne. It's their own membership list. It doesn't change that. It just enhances it. We
No,
hope.
it does change. It was us, people came together. Nobody asked it to be established by the city. Nobody asked for an established committee of the city. Why can't people just come together and volunteer and do good for the city? Okay, so are you going to say the Rotary, when they plan Celebrate Cultural Diversity, that's for the good of the city? They must be now recognized as a resolution through the city of Norwich? That's all volunteers.
You're expanding the discussion, and it's not appropriate, because nobody is suggesting that. This is a big deal. This is the 250th anniversary of our nation.
So let the committee, as it was formed and planned and working on for the past 3 years, do what it said it's going to do.
Nobody's taking control. They're going to continue to do what they do. Someone from the Leffingwell should be on this board, period. We no longer have a member representing the museum. He quit.
Okay, but they originally, with the original establishment of the volunteer committee, okay?
It's the same list.
It's not the same list. You keep saying this is the same list. It's not the same list. It's not. It's not.
Mr. Champagne, please come to the podium now.
Well, please.
Did you not just confirm that I got the list of the membership from you?
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Please,
You just took the words
please.
right out of my mouth. When the two of you finally yielded the floor, I was going to ask that Mr. Champagne come to the podium to provide us, give us at least me, a couple of answers for questions that I have, if you don't mind, sir.
Can I ask for my attorney?
You're
I'm not prepared
you're not in that.
to go back and forth, but
Yeah.
I'll
No.
try if you want.
Well, on that, I feel the frustration from both sides, as
Yes.
I'm sure everybody in this room does. And I also, I see the validity in points being made on both sides. My only real question to you is this. You said, and is it Janine? Yes. Thank you. And Janine said that you've already made presentations based on the activities that you've done to date. Would it be possible for you to make that same presentation to us at our next council meeting or prior to our next council meeting, however the schedule works out? Is 2 weeks enough time for you to prepare to do that?
Absolutely.
So with that answer, Mr. Mayor, I'm inclined to agree with Alderman Bettencourt that we should delay.
Council information already scheduled. I think there's a council information already planned for the next council meeting at 6:30. We had 2 requests for tonight, but because the one that we had tonight was already published by the city clerk's office, we stayed with that schedule in keeping with what was publicly listed for the members of the public. But we have another informational already in the hopper.
I think it
I
would
just-
be very good to have an informational so we can discuss it back and forth. Clearly, there's a disagreement about the wording of the resolution. So I think, and you guys have a lot of stuff to do. I don't think we should be taking any more time with this matter right now. That's up to you, though.
Well, so I'm going to say this. My conversations with the mayor on multiple occasions on this topic, and also with Alderwoman Hayes, I've said that I'm concerned about the same 3 things. To both of them, I should say. Those 3 things are this. I will not sit here and be silent and watch this initiative and this celebration be fumbled in the way the 350th was. I won't stand for it. I will not allow it to happen. Now, I'm just one vote, but I'm that passionate that this needs to be done right. I also agree with you and with the speakers tonight, and with, I'm sure, some of the people up here, that this should be a grassroots effort and not one that is led by this council. I don't want us to be in charge of it, but I do want us to have our fingers on the pulse of it, and I want us to have oversight from not just an operational standpoint, but also a fiscal standpoint, because there are concerns about money. Fortunately, and to the mayor's point, the people that are on this list are stellar in terms of your activities and what you do in your individual groups and collectively. So I don't have a lot of worry, but I'm also not prepared to just say, go do it and let us know when to show up and make an appearance. My involvement wants to be somewhere in between those 2 things. Okay, so those are the first 2. The third thing is that I do want you to have autonomy, or I should say, and again, this is just me speaking, right? But I want the committee to have autonomy, but I want to know that everybody who wants to have a voice at the table will be heard. And so that's where I do have to agree that the enhancements to the list that is before us, one is because of a resignation that has changed the players in the program, so to speak. And the other changes are, well, the other change is the city historian and his involvement. So, we need to figure out the schedule because I don't feel comfortable acting on this tonight, just based on what we all just saw and heard. But I do think that we need to act on it this month because there are a number of clocks that are ticking with regard to this committee being able to do its work and also the funding piece and the Sachem Fund piece, and there's a lot of moving parts, as one would expect in something this important, right? What I don't want is, I want the council's role to be to remove barriers and direct staff as needed to facilitate, okay? But to stay the heck out of the way.
No disagreement.
And I can speak for the whole committee by saying we don't want adversarial positions. We'd love to have the support of the city council and everybody in Norwich. So, but yes, let's, whenever we can schedule an informational or some meeting, let's.
Would a motion to postpone be in order, or?
I think we're still in discussion, if that's okay.
He still has the floor, Alderman Singh. If he wishes to make a motion, he has the right.
I think I just made it clear where my head is at. As I said, I agree with Alderman Betancourt, but if Alderman Singh has something he would like to add before any motion gets put on the floor, I have no problem yielding the floor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excuse me, but I acknowledge Alderman Gould. Her hand was up. Go ahead.
So the nuts and bolts of this are the word establishment.
Establishment and initial, those
Okay.
seem to.
So if we removed in the last paragraph, now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Norwich that it supports a committee to be known as the American 250 Norwich, Connecticut Committee, to be initially made up by the following individuals per the schedule here too. Does that meet, is the word establishment where we got this wrong?
Establishment to us sounds like you're starting something.
So
and
if we.
an initial group of people seems to mean you're starting with an initial group. And again, I don't know that
if we took the words out, establishment, and a committee to be made up of the following, or a committee, or does it be made up of the following individuals? Does that meet the requirements, or are we still stuck on who's on Schedule A?
I don't want to speak for the committee. Our committee works with Robert's Rules of Order. You know, we follow procedures, we have votes. I don't want to speak for the whole committee. I'm happy to speak with them and then convene again with the council. I'm not sure, I don't think that we can fix this tonight.
Okay.
By taking out a couple of words.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, seems like there are a lot of discussions that needs to happen within your committee and the Norwich Historical Society Committee because they are fiduciary for this whole thing, right? So unless you both have your own meetings and you discuss this matter, I don't think so. You are prepared to come to any conclusion. And I don't think so. I feel like at this point, government is overstepping. And even though intentions are good, when I see everything in the mix, and I do agree with the Alderman Joe DeLucia as well, there should be some oversight because we also feel part of it. I am wholeheartedly supporting America 250. So there's a lot of interest due to the historical significance of it. and we might have a lot of good inputs to be made. We want to make sure it's inclusive. We want to make sure it's educational experience for our kids. And overall where we are as a nation now and what we need to be doing. So there's a lot of discussions like that. So my only thing is, when do you think, and I would love to see informational session myself, what you have done so far, just to give a little update, because last one was in 2023. But it has to be in month of April? Because you also have to understand we're going into a budget cycle. There will be a lot of meetings, will be busy, that'll be busy time for council. So either it has to be after June, I believe, or if you think we can make it work. But at this point, I think it should be withdrawn. I don't know. That's what I personally think, because I don't know if we can establish a good timing when it should come back on the floor. If we can establish that, I don't have an issue with that either. Thank you.
Well, if I may, Corporation Counsel can advise us, but I think it's too late for us to withdraw. We've put it on the floor, we're debating it. We either need to vote it up or down or postpone it.
Okay.
Am I right about that, Mike?
Well, motion to withdraw would have to be made by the individuals who would sponsor.
Who sponsored it?
Even after it's been put on the floor for,
I think that, that's, well, offhand,
I think you
I'm
can.
not sure. I think usually it's, until the vote comes down on it, you have the power to withdraw it.
All right, motion to withdraw.
If the sponsors agree.
Motion to withdraw resolution number 3.
I'll second it.
Well, you need the sponsors to agree that they will.
Yeah, it's not a.
It's
right,
the
we
three
don't
of us.
vote. It's, right.
There would be no vote if it's withdrawn. It just goes away.
So, two of the 4 sponsors, okay? Right, you're next.
There's only 3.
It's only 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were on the prior one. That's my mistake. Then it's just up to me. Let's withdraw this. Let's go back to the drawing board and figure out how this committee is going to move forward from here.
Thank you.
Fair agreed?
Yep.
Thank you, Counsel. And I'm sorry that it was contentious, and let's get past that and do good things for Norwich. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Number 4.
Number 4, relative to council authorizing the city manager and comptroller as designees to sign and approve environmental documents required under NEPA Section 102.
Motion to bring this to the floor, please. Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Matter is adopted. The vote is 7-0. The resolution is adopted.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And to adjourn, Gould, second by Nash. Roll call.
Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh? Yes. President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. We are adjourned. Vote is